Hi, how are you? I got inspired to start a project using these old Proton 285 component speaker systems, and I thought to take you along with me through the steps designing and making desktop speakers out of these car speakers. Using car speakers at home has its own problems already, and because of that, before starting this project, I made a video all about those differences so that they would be answered. I don't yet know where this project will end up. Idea is to make desktop speakers, but let's start by taking a look at these quite unique old speaker units. These speakers were given out for me by a friend. They are used speakers and have been on a vehicle, but it is nice that the original box is still kept safe, so we can take a look at that. Before this, I have never heard from Proton speakers or seen these type of two-way component system units that holds all the components in one frame for car use. Home, in-wall or ceiling speakers have this type of solutions, but for car I have not seen this before. There might be some like this, but I could not find any examples now. If you know some, let me know in the comments. Here is diagram of typical system, and from this I think these 285 units were most likely meant to go in a car rear deck, and then you would have a coaxial speakers in the front, and it seems that the Proton had all these components available for full system. Proton is not in business anymore, or at least not in car audio. It seems that their car audio production may peaked at 90s. If this sticker is correct, these costed 61 Finnish marks in January 1997. That's very good value for a product of this quality. I don't know, was that a retail or sale price? I think my friend bought these as an last models with lower price. Even if the retail was 4 times this price, I think these speakers would be good value even at today, 24 years later. Plastic construction is solid, they are pretty heavy, have lots of magnets in these woofers. These grills comes off. And 24 years shows in these cones. I may need to do something about them. Cones are polypropylene coated paper cones. I don't know, is the plastic coating yellowed or maybe the paper, or was the color like this at the factory. But let's go over what we have here. 5¼ inch woofer, 1 inch soft dome tweeter which is angle adjustable. Backside seems to be sealed, which is good. Variable tweeter level is this. Crossover components are built in, and they are here. It is 12 dB per octave crossover at 3 kHz. So this woofer needs to play pretty high. This unit is 4 ohms and 80 watts in power handling. Let's next test these if these make a sound. They seem to work fine. Enclosure or infinite baffle is of course needed for bass output. I think the next stage is to start measuring first the higher frequency output. And here's some results from the measurements. First, here is near field measurements from the woofer and tweeter. Tweeter response is gated with the impulse response window. This bump is not part of the tweeter response. It is just that woofer response creeping in. This was measured the whole unit intact, and around that 3 kHz is where the crossover seems to be. Also, I measured the second unit, and even though it had slightly damaged tweeter dome, response near field is similar. Woofer response is bit down from that second woofer, and we will come back to that. Next are gated measurements, so that means quasi-anechoic measurements of these units. Half a meter away, and the units are open at the back, so don't expect lower frequency output. This shows that there is that level difference between these two woofers. Input voltage is kept the same between all the runs, so that difference needs more investigation. Next, I tested the tweeter level control, and this is level at minimum and at the max. Blue was at center. Min to max seems to be 6 dB difference. There is quite a big dip at the tweeter response, 5 to 10 kHz range. So I measured mic at the same location in the middle between woofer and tweeter, but pointed the tweeter here up and here down. And that seemed to affect mostly at that dip range. So I'm not worried that there is anything wrong with the speaker. It may just be diffractions happening that are caused by these baffle dimensions. This measurement is same level but 1 meter away, and this is 1 meter away but 2.83 volts. Friend gave me also some spare parts and 2 whole functioning units. So here are those measured. I called them Unit 3 and Unit 4. And that Unit 4 has the same issue of woofer level being down compared to Unit 1 and 3. But next, I tried different mic positions. This is at the tweeter axis, big cancellation happening. On the woofer axis, that disappears, and the response looks nicest so far. So here is also the Unit 1 now measured at the woofer axis, and then I tested that with the grill on, and that has slight effect on the higher frequencies, but nothing major. So, should I try to correct that dip in this higher frequency region? Because it changed so much according to the tweeter angle and the mic position, I think it is better not to do at least yet anything about that. Last measurements I took this Unit 1 being on the table, and the mic higher pointing down, and also mic at the tweeter level. These are unsmoothed results, and because now there are all the reflections coming at the table and the walls, this response looks like that. But if you just eyeball this overall trend of the peaks, it seems to be flatter. So, when early reflections are added to the sound, that 7 kHz dip is no longer here. so better not at this point to correct anything that maybe isn't there at the final results. But that brings us to that second problem, that was the difference at the woofer levels. So I took all the 4 these woofers out of the frames and measured Thiele small parameters from them using Touch V2. And I did many runs to try to ensure that these measurements are correct. I did added mass method and also test box method. And I wasn't sure about my measurements because I saw pretty big differences between these drivers. I have measured some other old drivers and there is some difference always, but these have so much difference that it will affect how they will play. And if I simulate these woofers, example unit 1 and 2, in the same size sealed box, it shows that same about 3 dB level difference that I measured. I'm not sure, but now I think that it may be caused by 2 of these woofers having lost some magnet force. Weaker magnetism would explain this PL difference and also would make electrical Q higher. And that higher electrical Q makes total Q higher, and that makes this other woofer not have as nice predicted response in the same box. And lower PL also makes that woofer lower in sensitivity. Also, one important difference to mention is that these woofers have slight outside differences between them. It seems that the woofer 1 and 2 are older and they have Proton USA info at the sticker, but these other 2 have made in Taiwan text. Also, gone with these older ones feels more papery and the tinsel leads are closer together. Before measuring, I thought these to be very similar with the parameters because the outside differences are very minor, but it seems that they have changed the parameters with this product during its run. Woofer 3 and 4 has lower FS and higher WAS. And that is fine, those are probably intentional changes, but that means that I now cannot mix these 2 woofers that have lower QTS together because they are from that different products run and have also parameter differences between them. Okay, that was the measurements done. Even though there are some problems, I will go ahead with this project and now at least I know what those possible problems are. Next, I think these speakers need some care. Cleaning, restoring and paint. And here is final result. I really like how these look with that white cone showing under that grill. It has that monitor speaker look that I think goes well with these, may becoming my desktop speakers. I combined from those spare parts these two whole units, unbroken tweeters and crossovers that are measured also. And I have those unit 1 and 2 woofers that had more similar FS and impedance curve than those other two spare parts woofers. Now only cabin is needed, and I have an idea to use some unusual budget materials for that. But that will be the second part. Subscribe not to miss that, and like this video if you did. Thanks for watching.